that pancake stuff on for a who laid the rail. It reminds me, y'all got anything new in cakes? We'd have a happier marriage if she would spend less time on her face and more time with the oven. Thanks, Uncle Fred Coots of Hot Ring, Arkansas. I'm sorry, Hot Ring, Arkansas. I can never figure these things. AK, I guess, is Arkansas, isn't it? I don't know, but anyway. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's so good that you wrote. It's just amazing. We are going to do cakes today. Yep. In fact, I'm going to do punch bowl cake.
We're hearing body noises, ladies and gentlemen, from our...
I think I'm being made fun of. Punch bowl cake sent in by Evelyn Grubbs of Muncie, Indiana.
Punch
when
bowl
have we been
cake.
seen in Indiana
I
recently?
don't know. But
well, Indiana wants me, you know.
Well,
what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to do an applesauce cake that Evelyn Kestner Chenault of Appomattox, Virginia. You know, Appomattox down there where Lee and Grant.
Very historic.
Yeah, very, very
historical place.
However, you might remember several years ago, I said that one of the recipes that I had lost in my family was the recipe my mama used for applesauce cake because it was so good and I just had never been able to duplicate it. And Evelyn sent this recipe in and she said from the way I described it, she said, I believe it's this recipe. And indeed it is. The onlyest thing is that I now cannot eat hardly anything in it.
So what good's it do to have the recipe?
But today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tell you, Doris and I have been experimenting in the kitchen, and I'm going to show you how to do the cake the correct way, or the way that Mama made it. And then we've got one that we made with egg, substitutes, sugar substitutes, margarine instead of butter. So we've got a cake that is basically very heart healthy.
I also understand that while you all were experimenting around, you came up with cures for several major diseases.
We did.
So that'll be announced on the program later on.
One of which I think you're afflicted with.
I have no diseases. Never have. Thank you. Miss Doris will be here. But what would you know about my diseases anyway?
Well, I've been in the emergency room all morning and they told me. They said you wouldn't have believed it if you could have seen it.
Okay, anyway. We won't be talking any more about that, Mr. Johnson. Miss Thing will be coming in here in a little while. Doris, yes, with the fastest cake in the West.
Yeah, and she said it actually was.
Sent in by Marlene Mayer of Fredericksburg, Virginia. That's another fine historical town, historical place. So anyway, now if yours takes a little while, I can get my first part of this out of the way real quick.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So let me do this. The first thing you have to do with mine is you get yourself a punch bowl. Now, you know, I think this punch bowl is way too big.
Well, it is.
Well, it's the only punch bowl I had. How many punch bowls do you normally have sitting around the house?
Well, I don't know. But
this would be much better if it were done in a trifle dish, but these people are very reasonable, and they know that most people, I'm the only person that you personally know that has a trifle dish.
Yes, you are.
And I travel with it a lot.
Matter of fact, you're the only one I know that has a punch bowl.
So anyway, you can make it a trifle dish, but more people have punch bowls and trifle dishes if you have one at all. Now, the first thing you have to do is you have to bake just a plain old cake. And you bake it according to the plain old cake directions on the box, and you just go to your store, and I got the cheapest thing I could get, which was an old box of house brand yellow cake mix, and you bake that, and I have it in the oven right now, and I'm going to take it. Oh, that is so hot. Psh, oh, that's incredible. It really is. What I did was doesn't matter whether you make it round or square, because, ladies and gentlemen, you got to tear it all to pieces in a couple of minutes.
Oh, no, a perfect good cake.
So there we go, and we'll do more with this later.
All right. Well, with mine, I have heated up 2 cups of unsweetened applesauce right out of a jar. Unsweetened. Now, check your applesauce. Make sure that it has no sugar added.
Is it unsweetened?
Yep. And then you warm it up, and you add a teaspoon of soda,
now,
baking soda to it.
Certain.
Now, when you add that soda to it, it'll puff up. Like, if you notice, it's just puffed up tremendously. Keep that in the back of your heads. Now, over here in Doris's fine mixer, I'm going to add 2 sticks. That's a half a pound of butter. For those
don't add that soda to any vinegar, because you know what'll happen.
Yeah, it'll
explode.
Bubble. We learned that
it'll explode
down at Belmont Elementary School. All right, now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put
Just
another
eat that
thing
right out
of
of the
butter over in here, and we're going to turn this thing on and let it whip the butter around while I get the sugar. And it's got a powerful lot of sugar.
Somebody criticized us the other day for having too much fancy equipment on the set now. They said, we remember when you all had to do everything by hand, and here was Laban with this KitchenAid thing going to town. And
Yes, but that was 20 years ago when we were a lot younger.
That's right. And speak for yourself, I'm still a lot younger.
Well, you always will be, because you just got here too late.
Did I get that right? I wonder if you're supposed to drain this stuff. It doesn't say. I'm opening up some pie filling in some crushed pineapple. This is another one of those where it calls for a can. Don't you just love those recipes?
Oh, it drives
We
me
don't know
nuts.
whether it's a big can or a little can or a can this big, but it doesn't say whether you're supposed to drain it or not. What's your feelings about it, Doris? Doris has no feelings whatsoever. Huh?
Yeah,
I would think you'd want to soak into the cake too. Well, listen, while you're waiting for that, I'll tell you what I'll do.
All right.
Take just a thing of pudding, of instant pudding pie filling, and I got a big box because I think you need the biggest box you can get hold of on this, and just fix it in accordance with
Did you get that at Larry's big box?
Yes, I did.
Like Larry, what is it? Tony's Big Boy, or
you
what is the name of that?
talking
Well,
about?
I saw something about that. The Big Boy people are getting a new Big Boy.
What's wrong? Wasn't the big boy big enough?
No, he was big enough, but he was out of date. He was passé.
Well, he's got that sort of flip hairdo.
Yeah, and so
it-
that he's getting a new hairdo and new clothes.
It says, pudding directions, pour 3 cups of milk in a large bowl and add to the mix and refrigerate it for a couple of minutes. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix it up with a whisk. That's it, Laban. It's all yours.
All right, I'm going to add 2 eggs. And I'm being kind of careful because Doris said some of these, she got an egg that wasn't very good.
How do you
Just
get an
checking.
egg that's no good in this day and age? They're not even 1 hour old when they reach the supermarket. Do you
It looked
remember?
like it was, yeah, I
Do you remember a couple of years ago the egg people were explaining to you and I that it's very difficult to find an egg in a supermarket anymore? It's virtually more than 3 days old because they deliver them so quickly. So how could that happen?
Well, it did.
You must have been shopping at one of those low-down stores,
a freak
Doris.
of nature. All right, now put the 2 eggs in with the 2 sticks of butter and the 2 cups of flour, and it's looking real good. It's very light and creamy. Great shot, Andre. And you can see in there that it is now really looking good, and I'm going to add some flour to it.
This is what pudding looks like when it's milky. For those of you that are ignorant of kitchen ways, I have now mixed this up, and I'm going to place it in the refrigerator for 5 minutes so it'll set up just a little bit. And I'm going to take one of these big old pieces of cake, and I'm going to start tearing it apart and throwing it in the bottom of this thing. This is really an English trifle is what it is, except it's what? Huh? You're going to talk to me, Doris. Don't mumble. Say something. Anyway, this is just really an English trifle is all it is. But we're calling it something different today. Go ahead, John.
Well, I'm adding 3 3/4 cups of flour now slowly to our batter. And it's going to be a real stiff
I
thick
know, but I
batter.
wanted it to set up faster. I know the freezer from the
Oh,
refrigerator.
listen to them.
Doris.
They're having an argument.
Doris says, "Oh, Larry, you have accidentally opened up the freezer." Like, I don't know. I just thought I could maybe make this go faster.
Oh, shut the door. We don't want anybody seeing
Well,
there.
there's nothing in there, ladies and gentlemen.
I
What
know,
are we
that's-
trying to keep cool?
Well, I thought we would have some bananas or something.
There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. There is this fine note from Paul Lancaster. No, that's something else.
Okay, now I've got in the flour and the machine is beginning to labor a little bit. So I'm going to put in...
Good heavens. I thought that thing was supposed to be able to handle anything,
Is this
John.
a grape juice, Doris? Now you can put in 3/4 of a cup. I know, but I'm going to put it in now. 3/4 of
you
a
out
cup.
now. I think we're going to get slapped
If
before
I
this
could
day is over.
Get this fine dish open. I'm going to put in 3/4 of a cup of grape juice. You could also use, oh no, you could use red wine.
Now
it's some kind of wine. Doris, you've been hitting the bottle again. Go ahead.
Let me show you all how to tear up a cake. Now get a startling overhead shot of this, ladies, and for those of you who don't know how to do this, for those of you who have never cooked in the kitchen very often, see, that's how you tear a piece of cake apart. There's another one. Now just be real gentle with it. Even Doris can do this. That one's kind of big. I think that's enough. Go ahead, John.
All right, I'm putting in now a 1-pound box or one of these big of raisins into the applesauce cake batter. And you just let them all in there and let them beat around a little bit.
I'm going to add some crushed pineapple at this point to this cake, which I've thrown in the bottom of this thing. And it doesn't say whether you drain it, and I would assume that we want the juices to go all throughout this cake. So you add, just right out of the can, some crushed pineapple with the juice and everything right in there. Oh, doesn't that just look wonderful? And then, after that, you then take some cherry pie filling. Doesn't that look good? You know, from my notion, just forget the rest of the recipe and eat this right out of the can. You save yourself an awful lot of trouble. And put some of that in there, and that's the next layer that goes in. Now, you know this has got to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything got all this junk in it. It's all sugar, you know. Johnson, of course, you know, you'll have a fit, and we'll have to take you out of here on a stretcher.
Well, I'll only have a bite.
Uh-huh.
Can
That's
I
what he
have
said
it back for
last
a
week.
second now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I've added my box of raisins, and now I'm adding 2 cups of black walnuts. Now, you could use English walnuts that are a lot cheaper, but we're in black walnut country and can get them, so we're going to use them. And the reason they're very dear is that they're real hard to shell, and you can't get them out in one piece.
What are you talking about, Johnson?
I'm talking about black walnuts.
Because Doris and I were having another conversation over
I
here.
know,
You know,
I can
she
hear
has
you.
just worn me out over here.
Well,
I just discovered that I'm supposed to add the entire can of each, the pineapple and the cherry thing, all at one time now.
Okay.
And so I just have.
Well, I've got my raisins and walnuts in there, and now I'm going to add a whole lot of different kinds of spices. Cinnamon will be the first one. And aren't you proud I didn't pre-measure anything?
When do I add the next layer of this cake to this thing? I was supposed to put it all on the bottom? Well, you can layer this if you want to. Use your imagination, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be dumb like Miss Doris. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this in now because Johnson just dropped something major into that machine.
I didn't drop it in there yet. I just dropped the bottle because it's got stuff all over it from the unfortunate acts. I don't know why I have so many problems here with that. I'm adding a teaspoon of allspice now.
The way this has been put together irritates me.
The Lord knows we don't want you to be irritated.
Well, I'm using up all the cake now. I'm just putting it right in there. I haven't had this much fun since hogs ate my brother.
Oh.
Now, next thing you do is you put the pudding on top of that. Oh, that pudding, look at that stuff has set up. That goes in next. You know what? I thought this was too big a bowl, but look at this. It looks to be. These people do know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
Takes a big old dish.
And then on top of that, I got some whipped stuff. Thank you, Andre, who is right on top of everything. And that goes on. Now, this is the really fun part. Just put lots of it on. Now, you know the staff is going to have a party when this is over. You know they are, because none of them eaten for a week. Put that on top. How could anything with all of this be bad?
Well, we'll see.
And in a couple of minutes, I'll add the final ingredient. And
Okay.
I've got 10 minutes to do it in, so take your time, Johnson.
All right, well, let me give my recipe. 2 cups of unsweetened applesauce, 1 teaspoon of soda, 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 2 eggs, 3 3/4 cups of plain flour, 1 box of seedless raisins, 1 teaspoon each cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, and clove, 2 cups of chopped black walnuts, and 3/4 of a cup of wine or grape juice.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
All that goes in, and
I'm ready to go home.
Well, I wish I was.
How's it coming, John?
Well, I've got to scrape it down.
Are we going to get it done before the show's over?
Well, maybe. Let me just keep working here.
Well, let me give my recipe.
All right, go ahead and do that while I...
The very lovely punch bowl cake, sent in by Punchy Evelyn. A box of cake mix, and you make that up in accordance with the directions on the box, which is about 3 eggs, and, well, you know how to make a cake. And it doesn't matter whether you use white cake or yellow cake. Whoa, that hurts. 1 can of crushed pineapple, a can of cherry pie filling, a box of instant vanilla pie filling or pudding, and make it according to the instructions also. And 1 8-ounce package of whipped topping, and also you'll need to have standing by some nuts to put on top, and I do. Anyway, that's it.
This is my grandma's.
I was going to say that looks like an antique.
Virginia Atkins Johnson's own tube pan, and you need a big one, and this one probably won't hold it might be too small, but we'll see. But you have to butter it up real good so your cake will come out of it eventually. We do that. Now we will have the fun of...
Oh, that's a nice thick batter.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
All right, and I need to scrape it off, and then I'll see if I can unfree the bowl. Oh, Lord, this glops of this stuff is going everywhere.
While he's doing that, let me add the nuts to this recipe. I have some English walnuts, and to make it look just real beautiful, you just add the nuts right across the top. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that pretty? It's just lovely, and it makes the perfect party dish. And set that out. And I just can't believe it. It's just perfect.
Gorgeous.
It really is, in every way.
Now, when you add the bottle of rum to it.
Oh, Johnson, I wouldn't think of it.
You wouldn't.
Why waste the rum in a good recipe like that? No, I wouldn't. I don't think it calls.
All right, Bly, would you come over here and hold the bowl up for me?
Hold the bowl.
Hold the bowl while I rake it over into the pan. I'm just so weak these days. I can't.
You want me to take it out?
No, I can do it. I just pull it on the...
All right, hang on. Let me turn the thing.
And this batter is real stiff.
A 2-person... Well, I turned it so you'd get it in a different section.
Well, I can't.
Oh, my heavens. If you're weak, you don't want to do this recipe. Let me get the rest. I can get it myself.
Yeah, this is not a recipe for... It's easy to do. It really is, but it's not for the faint of heart, or you can't do it with a hand mixer either.
Oh, I'm telling you.
You got to have...
That is... But, you know, all of these recipes for applesauce cake are real thick, heavy batters. They really are.
But they are wonderful to the mouth. What? No, I did. Oh, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason that it's so thick is because Laban forgot to put the apple. Well, let's put it back in there.
Put it back in there and see.
Maybe Doris should come out and talk about her recipe.
Now, let me scrape this.
Just go front and center, Doris. I'll be with you with my chest in a moment.
Here.
This is why it's so terribly thick, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to her. She can just hardly contain herself. All right, you go remix that, Johnson, and get it right this time.
I'll do my best.
What do you have, Doris?
Well, I have the fastest cake in the West.
And it's a good thing.
No, Laban just had the fastest cake because he left out the main ingredient.
I couldn't figure out why I had such a stiff batter. I knew it didn't work that way yesterday. But anyway, my cake has 2 eggs well beaten, 3/4 cups of vegetable oil, 1½ cups of sugar, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1½ teaspoons baking soda, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 can fruit pie filling, anyone that you'd like to use, and 1/2 cup of nuts, optional. And you just mix all the ingredients until well blended and pour into a greased, floured pan, which I didn't do yesterday.
Oh, we've all had our share of problems.
Right. So the cake sort of stuck, and I knew Larry would be unmerciful towards me today, so I baked another one.
All right.
So it would look right. But it turned out really nice, and it's quite a moist cake, and I'm going to try to get it back in the thing again.
We're not trying, we
See
are.
now how nice it pours when, when you have the applesauce?
Oh, it's going to burp over. Well, thank goodness somebody noticed that.
I think you have to...
That cake has been around the barn. All right, well, if we can move over to our other set, I'll show. Where is that? The cake I can eat, Doris? It was. Oh, they're both.
Oh,
over.
he has lost the cake he prepared, ladies and gentlemen. What next is going to happen on this program today?
Now you bake that for how long, Doris?
Yours?
Yeah,
It was about an hour.
about an
believe it
hour.
was.
At what
Yeah.
temperature?
At 350. No, this is where we had a little bit of a
Yeah.
problem because it's
Go ahead. Quick.
it's at a
Get hold of
slow.
yourself, Doris.
It's at a slow.
She's gone hysterical
So
on
I
us.
think we decided it was about 325, and it took about an hour.
Okay.
All right.
Now here are the cakes over here.
Oh,
This one right here is the one I just made. And this one right here is the one using artificial sweetener and egg beaters. It's not quite as high, but I'm sure it's going to taste really fine, especially when you're not supposed to eat cake at all. So,
well, here, let me get you a
Slide you a
little
part healthy
slice of this.
all right.
Oh, Lord, all I got you was the
None of
goop.
the innards.
None of the innards. You got to go real deep to get the good parts. There we go. But parts is parts. And isn't this just so light and fluffy?
It
It's
is.
just fluffy. You know how I
All right,
love
now
fluffy.
Here you go.
And here,
There's
give me this
the-
so I can get me another piece of this over here.
All right, I'll use this knife over here so I can.
Well, how many cakes do we have? I only
We got
prepared
3.
one.
3, 4. We got 4 different cakes.
What's this one?
That one is the one Doris made.
It's wonderful.
This is the one that is no
I
trouble.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Real
nice?
good.
Now, these things look a little dry to me, but they're not. They're very, very.
This is the one that's safe to eat.
Now, which
if
one
you're
are you
in bad
feeding me?
shape.
Which one?
Both.
Oh, okay. Now, which one is this one?
That's the full high test one.
I'm going to see if there's any difference. I can't tell any difference.
No.
None at all.
So you can do this cake the easy way, just using egg substitute, margarine, and a measurable sweetener.
Now, have you tried my goopy one yet?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's real good. It'd be better with a little dark rum.
So would this show. And as a matter of fact, we think that maybe Doris, of course she came on, but
Because you know she had wine. That was wine. That's why it splattered out of the bowl, because it was wine. And the devil was trying to get it back. But anyway,
Doris
that
will get
was
us.
why I thought it was.
She'll
gonna
get
be-
us real bad because she doesn't ever drink.
I know.
Ever,
That's
ever,
why I
ever.
was so surprised. I thought it was going to be grape juice or
Mhm.
that diet right grape soda or something, you know. But it turned out it smelled to me like the fruit of the vine that had been fermented.
Well, this is a mighty good dessert meal, if
Boy,
I
you
must say so.
You can have great times at a holiday with this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All these cakes and everything.
And the
Just wonderful.
applesauce cakes are really good. And very close to what my mama used to make. And that lady has brought back my faith.
And remember, they're much better when you put the applesauce in them.
Uh-huh. And Larry's would be even better with about a half a cup of rum.
Or amaretto
Yeah.
would be nice also. Well, that's it for us.
See you around the campus.
Hello, this is Miss Carol. If you would like to have a copy of this season's recipes, send $4.95 plus $2.50 postage and handling to